Have you ever heard of one sailor with a single rifle taking on an entire squadron of enemy fighter planes? It sounds like something out of a Hollywood movie. But this is the incredible, true story of Daniel Harlo, a man whose ingenuity and defiance saved an entire destroyer during World War II. Our story begins on May 14th, 1943, in the icy, unforgiving waters of the Aleutian Islands. The destroyer USS Bracket was under attack by Japanese Zero fighters. The weather was brutal cold and wetted the ship's primary defenses. Its 20mm Oerlikon anti-aircraft cannons were failing. One after another, the guns jammed, leaving the Bracket and its crew completely exposed. Panic was setting in, but amidst the chaos, one man stood calm. Seaman First Class Daniel Harlo climbed to an exposed position, not with a standard-issue weapon, but with his own personal, heavily modified M1903 A3 rifle. As the Zeros swooped in for the kill, Harlo took aim. Who was this man who dared to face down warplanes with a bolt-action rifle? Daniel Harlo wasn't your typical sailor. Back home in Toledo, Ohio, he was a master machinist, a man obsessed with precision. He had a reputation for being meticulous, someone who never accepted good enough. For him, if something could be better, it had to be. This mindset, this relentless pursuit of perfection, would soon be the only thing standing between the USS Bracket and a watery grave. On board the Bracket, Harlo had witnessed tragedy firsthand. He saw his friends, his comrades, fall during attacks because the ship's cannons would jam in the frigid, damp conditions of the North Pacific. He'd hear the official reports. The equipment was operating to specifications. But for Harlo, specifications were getting his friends killed. He saw the flaw in the system. The standard grease used on the cannons would thicken in the cold, causing the mechanisms to seize. He knew there had to be a better way. Fueled by grief and frustration, Harlo decided to take matters into his own hands. He couldn't fix the ship's massive cannons, but he could perfect his own weapon. He had brought his personal M1903 A3 rifle aboard, a common practice at the time. Working in secret, below decks, he became a gunsmith of the high seas. He meticulously tuned the trigger for a crisp, clean break. He calibrated the sights for impossible accuracy. He even experimented with different types of ammunition, discovering that armor-piercing rounds, designed for ground targets, were devastatingly effective against the lightly armored cockpits and engines of Japanese aircraft. He was breaking regulations, but he was driven by a higher purpose: to protect his crewmates when official procedure failed them. Back on the deck of the Bracket, as the Zeros screamed down, Harlo put his work to the test. The official anti-aircraft guns were silent, useless. It was just him and his rifle. One by one, he targeted the incoming planes. He wasn't just spraying bullets into the sky. He was a sniper. He aimed for the pilots, for the engines, for the critical points he knew would bring a plane down. The Japanese pilots, expecting little resistance, were caught completely by surprise. In an astonishing display of marksmanship, Harlo shot down not one, not two, but 7 Japanese Zero fighters. 7. With a rifle, the remaining planes, stunned and disorganized by their unexpected losses, broke off their attack and fled. The USS Bracket was saved. Not a single additional life was lost. You'd think a hero like that would get a medal, a parade, a promotion, right? Well, the reality of military bureaucracy is a bit more complicated. Officially, what Harlo did was illegal. He had used a personal, unauthorized weapon and modified it against regulations. Bringing attention to his actions would also mean admitting that the Navy's standard-issue equipment had failed catastrophically. So, Harlo never received a medal. He faced the very real threat of a court-martial. But his commanding officers, knowing he had single-handedly saved their ship, chose to look the other way. While the official records remained silent, the story of Daniel Harlo and his super rifle spread like wildfire through the fleet. Sailors whispered about the machinist who took down 7 Zeros. His legend grew, and more importantly, his methods were copied. Other sailors, inspired by his example, started modifying their own rifles. They began carrying armor-piercing rounds, just in case. Harlo had started an unofficial, grassroots revolution in naval defense. This quiet revolution didn't go unnoticed by the enemy. Japanese pilots, including the legendary Eisaburo Sakai, began reporting something strange. They noted that American destroyers, once considered easy targets for low-altitude strafing runs, were suddenly fighting back with unusually accurate and deadly small arms fire. They were losing planes in ways they couldn't explain. As a result, they changed their tactics, abandoning their low-level attacks in favor of higher-altitude bombing, which was far less accurate. Daniel Harlo's ingenuity had not only saved his ship, but it also changed the very dynamics of air-sea combat in the Pacific, making every destroyer a more dangerous target. Eventually, the U.S. Navy quietly started to adopt some of Harlo's innovations, while never giving him official credit. Internal memos began to encourage sailors to take better care of their personal rifles. The use of armor-piercing ammunition in emergency anti-aircraft roles became an accepted, if unwritten, practice. The Navy learned from him, even if they could never admit it. The system, in its own slow, bureaucratic way, had been forced to adapt to the reality proven by a single, determined sailor. The story of Daniel Harlo is more than just a tale of incredible marksmanship. It's a powerful reminder that true innovation often doesn't come from the top down. It comes from the front lines, from the individuals who see a problem up close and are willing to break the rules to solve it. It's about the courage to defy a flawed system to save lives. Harlo wasn't looking for glory. He was just a man who couldn't stand by and watch his friends die. His legacy isn't found in official commendations, but in the countless lives saved by his defiance and his genius. It's a testament to the power of one person to make a world of difference. Thanks so much for watching. If you found this story as incredible as I did, please hit that like button and subscribe for more hidden histories from the front lines. Let me know in the comments what you think about Daniel Harlo's story. We'll see you in the next one.